Before I start the intro to this review, let's take a moment of silence for the passing of Lance Reddick first. Okay, now that we had our moment of silence, who knew that even the 4 films can sometimes be the best of their franchise?
Those were up, and they did.
We're smart, and my...
He told me enough.
No, I. Here's Chuck.
Hey everyone, it's Don G. COrleone here, and I'm here with a brand new movie review. And this movie review is going to be for a film that just came out this weekend, and it's for what was easily my most hyped film for years, loads of years, one I've been waiting for 4 years. And it's for a 4th installment of a popular action franchise that has no bad movies. And that film is going to be for none other than this weekend's newest release, John Wick Chapter 4, once again directed by Chad Stahelski, and the 4th installment in the John Wick film series. So what's the plot of this? Well, John Wick uncovers a path to defeating the High Table, but before he can earn his freedom, John Wick must face off against a new enemy with powerful alliances across the globe and forces that turn old friends into foes. So you're wondering, how was this movie made? Well, on May 20th, 2019, Lionsgate announced John Wick Chapter 4 via their opt-in John Wick text update service, writing that they'd be of service, and John Wick Chapter 4 was originally coming on May 21st, 2021. Before the 3rd film's release, director Chad Stahelski confirmed over Reddit on a thread that there have been discussions for another film, and they'd definitely be involved with the project should the threequel be successful. Despite the announcement back then, it was not confirmed if star Keanu Reeves would return for a new installment, but he told GQ that he would carry on the role as long as the audience wanted it. Because staying as far as his legs could take him, as far as the audience wants it to go. Stahelski later teased the 4th film on an interview with IndieWire, saying Wick would not end the 4th film in a happy ending, saying that John would survive all this shit, but at the end of it, there would be no happy ending. He's got nowhere to go, and he challenged anybody right now. There's a question for them. How would they want him to end it? How did they think he was going to ride off into the sunset? John had killed 300 people, and just didn't want people thinking everything would suddenly be okay. Just fall in love with a new love interest? Okay, that'd be a little weird if that happened. Additionally, Stahelski teased Winston's fate in the 4th film, and basically saying that he meant to shoot him. Did he mean to kill him? That's open for interpretation, and take it one of 2 ways, and that's kind of where we would pick up some unanswered questions in John Wick 4. And the studio opted to move on from series creator Derek Kolstad and instead hired Stay Payton to write the script in May 2020. Then in February, Stahelski brought Ricky Staub and Don Walser on board to write the film after being impressed with their film Concrete Cowboy. Then in March 2021, screenwriting duties were passed on to Predator's screenwriter Michael Finch. And on May 1st, 2020, of course, the 4th film would end up getting delayed, obviously, to a May 2021 release date, to a May 2022 release date because of the pandemic, and Reeves' commitments to The Matrix Resurrections, which was going to be released in the same dates with John Wick 4. The Matrix 4 was only 4 weeks in when all this happened. Production of The Matrix 4 halted. Stahelski said, so Keanu's got to finish his commitment to Resurrections, which was a big deal. I think it would probably take him until the end of the year. Then we go into their prep mode, and then they'd start John Wick 4. So release dates, who would know right now? When the 4th film was announced, Reeves was reportedly revealed to have begun his training course for John Wick 4 and The Matrix Resurrections. So, we all know was originally set for release date of Light get on May 21st, 2021. But John Wick Chapter 4 was delayed first due to the COVID-19 pandemic, then reached its commitments with the Matrix Resurrections. And then it was going to be in 2022, but then they delayed it to this year because they didn't want to have to deal with competition from but it ended up clearly successful Top Gun Maverick, which turned out to be a big surprise for a lot of people. So I don't think anyone expected it to be phenomenal. But after this whole 4-year-long journey, the film would finally premiere at Leicester Square in London on March 6, 2023, and was released yesterday on March 24th, 2023. As for my reaction to this movie, well guys, ever since I left from seeing Chapter 3, I was immediately waiting for a 4th film to be made and resolve this never-ending cliffhanger. Eventually, the 4th was confirmed and I got super hyped, and was probably the only future hyped film along with No Way Home I was ever crazy excited for, nothing really else. However, then we all know the pandemic happened, and this film kept getting delayed, and then delayed, and then delayed again because of Matrix 4, and then Top Gun Maverick as well. But after this whole journey finally ended, I finally got to see the movie last night, and man, oh my god. I don't think I've ever seen a 4 film to be considered the best of its franchise since Goblet of Fire. Like lots of times, the 4th movie can be assigned the franchises on death row, and they need to stop at that rate. However, some rare 4th movies can still be phenomenally great, like Rambo 2008, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, Avengers Endgame, and decently good ones like Scream 4, Shrek Forever After, and Live Free or Die Hard are good examples of 4 films that can actually be good, and maybe to some degree Rocky 4. Since Rocky 4 is a fan favorite, I'll include it. Even if it's not my number 1 favorite. And as for John Wick 4, this is among one of them. In fact, I think this was easily my favorite John Wick film in the franchise. This film totally lived up to the hype, and it was well worth the 4-year wait journey road. More than any of the delayed by pandemic releases that I was hoping would be as good as this, specifically Black Widow. Ever since the original John Wick, the franchise has set a standard of what action in Hollywood should be. Thanks to Chad Stahelski and Keanu Reeves' knowledge of the technical aspects of shooting action, they've been able to deliver expertly choreographed, shot, and edited action films that are now the go-to as examples of great action filmmaking. And so the expectations for the 4th film were fairly high, especially as it became more apparent that this was not only the culmination of everything before it, but a whopping 169 minutes long. Rest assured, however, that it delivered in spades. Everything we have come to know and love is here, with an infusion of creativity like we haven't seen from the franchise yet. The movie is just a feast for action fans. It showcases some of the most impressive and inventive fight scenes ever put on screen, from gunfights to knife fights, from car chases to horse chases, from Paris to Tokyo. John Wick Chapter 4 never lets up on the adrenaline and excitement, and Keanu Reeves once again proves his dedication and skill as an action star, referring most of his own stunts and delivering his trademark deadpan humor. John Wick is just not only a movie, it's emotion that uncovers a path to defeating the High Table. But before he can earn his freedom, Wick has to face off against all the odds and a new enemy with powerful alliances across the globe. With base story, the movie proceeds that John Wick, professional hitman and assassin, has gained a legendary reputation for a set of skills and was now being hunted by the High Table since 2017. All the actors here were really outstanding. The effects were some of the greatest I've ever seen, and the variety in the fight sequences was refreshing and new. The director and writer really nailed the action and entertainment in this movie, and while I was a little worried they couldn't keep up with the franchise going at such a high level, I'm glad it was not the case with this movie. So awesome to see how the John Wick franchise has progressed and is still great even to this day. Like, John Wick should set an example for the rest of the action films, as his character is just not an ordinary character. And I hope one day a statue of John Wick can even be placed inside a Hollywood museum. In terms of photography, it's very good and second to none, as well as accuracy and adjustment on some small things like. And what's more, John Wick Chapter 4 picks up right where Chapter 3 Parabellum left off, much like where Chapter 3 picked up where Chapter 2 left off, and Chapter 2 picked up where Chapter 1 left off. As has been the tradition in the sequels to this beloved martial arts action franchise, the action starts on the very inception of the film's opening, and lasts until the curtain falls. John Wick 4 is no exception to that rule. What it does is improve the prior installment and solidify Keanu Reeves as the greatest martial arts action star of all time. If you don't accept that notion, then at least accept the fact that it solidifies Reeves and director Chad Stahelski is the greatest martial arts action pairing of modern times. And the film clearly does open up in New York City, the very infamous headquarters of the Continental, and then it takes us to Japan, Paris, and Germany. Each of these cities plays a major role in Reese's quest to seek revenge against the High Table for the acts outlined in the prior films, and to seek his unconditional freedom from service to their order. And even as the story unfolds, we learn a bit more about Wick's past and upbringing than we did in the prior films, but not enough to be bogged down in it. He uses his connections to his past and the help of some old friends to find a path to the level of the playing field with the High Table and Missionary. The Mark is played masterfully by Bill Skarsgård. Skarsgård just makes his character memorable and unique, with just a hint of Santino from the second installment. Like, I think this probably would have to be my favorite live action role from Bill Skarsgård easily. Pretty much bumping down his portrayal of Pennywise to second place. Oh man, sorry guys, I can't Of course, Keanu Reeves' John Wick is still phenomenal. Here, just a great addition to this film. The Osaka Continental fight scenes are very groundbreaking, and among the best and most exciting in the entire series. This is some of the best fight and action choreography you will see, only topped by other scenes in the same movie. And Scott Adkins plays an unusually larger-than-life villain adeptly. The action and violence around the Berlin scenes involved his character, and his relationship to Reeves' past is fun to watch. Adkins is great to watch. Whether starting his own projects or supporting, as he is here, the movie also deepens its mythology, exploring more aspects of the High Table's history and hierarchy, and we learn more about John Wick's past and his connection to other characters in this world, and we even meet new faces that add more flavor and diversity to the franchise. When it comes to other supporting cast members, Donnie Yen plays Kane, a fellow assassin who shares a bond with John Wick, or a blind assassin even. Bill Skarsgård plays the antagonist Marquis, a mysterious figure who has ties to the High Table, and Hiroki Sanada plays Shimazu, a ruthless leader of a Japanese crime syndicate. And Keanu Reeves just continues to be engaging, empathetic, dynamic in the role of John Wick. While the series has strayed a bit from the deeply reluctant anti-hero of the first film, we continue to cheer for the good guy caught up in a bad, bad world. One of the greatest strengths of the film is that Reeves and Stahelski are not afraid to let the characters other than Wick shine. In fact, all the stars of this one have their deeply profound and memorable moments in and out of the company of the main character, and this really works. As for the fight and action choreography, the stunt team at 8711 continued to elevate the game. The film thus has three major, larger-than-life action sequences that each individually outdo anything you'll see in any other non-John Wick movie. As mentioned previously, the Osaka and Berlin scenes were high-energy, high-body count affairs, and they were complete with gunfights, sword mastery, gunplay, and one of the best nunchuck displays you will ever see outside of a Bruce Lee movie. As for the scenes in Paris, at the Arc de Triomphe, and on the church steps, they are unlikely to be forgotten and unlikely to be taught for years to come, if ever. They are unique, exciting, and violent feasts for the eyes. And one of the most surprising aspects of this particular entry is the story behind written as well as it is. And something that is hard to come up in the genre at times, not saying the others in the franchise weren't. This is easily the best story, diving deeper into High Table aspects as well as John Wick's true emotions. The rich characterization is also at its best with outstanding additions like Skarsgård and even more screen time for supporting greats like Fishburne that complement the magnificent Reeves, and once again, R.I.P. Lance Reddick like in the beginning of this video. It's nice to have such a substance amongst the endless high-octane ballistic visuals. And speaking of ballistic, the movie goes more all out than any I've seen for insanely well-crafted, choreographed shootout and fight scenes. And when you thought you've seen it all, Stahelski and Reeves prove their action minds are ever working. These guys were born to make action movies together. The extremely vibrant colors and plethora of locations is also a feast for the eyes. The sharp atmospheric imagery even creates the ultimate backdrop for not only the action but also just the dialogue. The sound is also top-notch and perfectly complements the intensity. It's just an absolute sensory journey that you don't get in too many action films aside from the Wick genre. And since we have 4 continents locations here instead of just one, like in the other 3 movies, we get fights on a massive set of stairs, fights in the middle of traffic, and one of the coolest looking hotels ever shown on screen, and so on. And the fighting, of course, is exceptional, and it brings nunchucks, dogs, throwing stars, swords, guns, and so much more. It's everything a John Wick fan could want, and because these films are so technically proficient, you never feel like you're missing any of the action. Possibly the most creative choice from for my favorite scene, that one, it combines a visually fantastic weapon with a shot choice that is unusual for action films of this nature, but the combination of these two pushes the scene into maybe one of the action film's greatest scenes. And I did mention the introduction of new characters in this world, and you can't not bring up Donnie Yen when talking about them. Like, he steals each and every scene that he is in, and it's crazy because you wonder how a character like his could thrive in such a world, but you absolutely believe it when you watch it. Like, I absolutely take more of him and Reina Sawanza. She's not featured as much, but she makes use of every second that she is in front of the camera. There are plenty of others too, but the plot remains that Wick is relegated to this grayer universe with characters who's good, bad, and point remains that Wick is relegated to this grayer universe with this characters who, good, bad, or for themselves, are the ones who can actually root in for any fight. Keanu Reeves is understandably less nimble at his age than the others. There's two, but that doesn't matter. Yen, a martial arts legend, brings his incredible skills in this movie and delivers some of the most brutal and cool action scenes in the film. Skarsgård plays easily the best villain in this franchise, who's as menacing as he is unpredictable, and it seems that Reeves are intense and thrilling. And Reddick, who has been a fan favorite since the first movie, continues to shine as the enigmatic hotel manager. His interactions with John Wick in the franchise were always very entertaining. Sadly, he doesn't play too big of a role in this movie, and only plays in like the beginning scene of the movie, and that's kind of about it. But it's a shame. But it's not just the acting that makes John Wick 4 a standout action movie. The work of the stuntmen is absolutely incredible. The fight scenes are brutal and fast-paced, and the choreography is flawless. Every punch, kick, and gunshot feels real and impactful, and it's clear that a lot of time and effort went into perfecting each moment. The use of practical effects and minimal CGI is also noteworthy, and it makes the action feel more grounded and visceral. The sporty cast of John Wick 4 also deserves recognition for their performances. Easy. The music in John 4 2 is yet another aspect that delivers its praise. And Tyler Bates and Joel Richard once again provide a score that perfectly complements the action on screen, and the music builds tension and excitement and enhances the overall experience of watching the movie. Easily. And as for any bad qualities of the movie, any bad qualities for John Wick 4? I don't know. For me, I can't think of any. But for other people, would probably have to be the runtime? Maybe Lance Reddick's character is only a cameo in the beginning. And I guess maybe the way the movie ends. For a lot of my fans. Okay. The runtime was honestly worth it, but while I didn't have any problems with John Wick 4, I think it could be one big problem for quite a few people, and the way the movie ended. But, so there's going to be major spoilers, guys, so if you have not seen John Wick 4 yet, please don't watch this video. Click off this video right now, because this next part's going to explain some big spoilers that either you have already seen or probably haven't seen. But here we go. 3, 2, 1, here we go. So basically how the movie ends is, John is given till sunrise to come and have another final duel, kill the blind assassin, in order to earn his freedom with the High Table, no longer be wanted. But D. Grandmonts decides to prevent John from arriving to the duel and decides to pretty much cheat unfairly by placing a $40 million contract on his head. John fights off hordes of assassins on his way to COrleone, including Mr. Nobody, but the latter stops hunting John after he saves Mr. Nobody's dog from being killed by Chidi. Kane even aids John in finding his way up the stairs, leading to the COrleone, where Chidi nearly kills John, but Mr. Nobody kills him first. John and Kane then narrowly reach the summit in time to save Winston, and the two duel with pistols, and King gravely wounds John in the first 2 rounds, and then D. Graham asks to pretty much go against the rules, and decides to almost put himself as excommunicado by personally executing John for the final round, which pretty much would brand D. Graham as excommunicado in the process with his arrogance. But John had not yet fired his gun, so he kills D. Graham with that round that was supposed to be saved for Kane. And the Harbinger declares John Wick finally free of of his contract and debt to the high table, but sadly, John's wounds are pretty impactful from the duel, and he pretty much walks over to this set of stairs and collapses and dies. And then Winston is reinstated as manager of the Continental, and he and the Bowery King attend John's funeral. Like, the Bowery King is now shown to be taking care of that dog, was just called Dog, that he rescued from the pound at the end of the first film. That dog doesn't have a name, guys. He's just called Dog. And they buried him next to his later wife, Helen. Apparently, this movie even has a post-credit scene where Akira approaches Kane seeking to avenge her father's death, but I didn't stay for the post-credit scene because, honestly, I feel like this is just a good way to end it. I don't really think I want to see a fifth. But, while I didn't mind this kill-off here, it's going to be a bit of a problem for some people. And specifically, it's going to be kind of already is now considered a problem for two YouTubers that I watch and like YouTube movie critics that I watch and like, who will also love this series, but hate this certain cliche. And they're no longer excited for the film because somebody pretty much revealed spoilers in one of their live streams. And if they do get paid requests to watch this one, John Wick 4 is probably already going to get a rant from them. Pretty much just going to be like, this movie is the worst of the series, end of the year, all because it's 169 minutes long, and John Wick dies. Chad Stahelski as a director is forever ruined. And the John Wick franchise is forever destroyed. Is probably how they're probably going to end up summarizing it. Each their own, though. Their opinions, each their own, but I have a feeling that they get paid requests to watch this, they probably won't like this movie as much as the others. And I guess I don't blame them, because the kill-off cliche is kind of annoying. I will admit that, and a little cliched now, but I honestly thought this was one of the few character kill-offs I had no problem with, because I feel like it's kind of just, I can kind of agree with Chad Stahelski. This is kind of the only way it can end for John, sadly. Like, where would John Wick go? Where would John Wick go after this? His home got destroyed in Chapter 2. He's got nothing left to live for. He doesn't have a wedding ring now. Where is he even going to live? Where else would he go? This was kind of the only way it could go for him. And I do hate some kill-offs, but there are some main character kill-offs that work when done right. And those kill-offs are Neo and Trinity, Logan and Neo from Matrix Revolutions. I know they got revived because of that stupid fourth film, but I don't acknowledge that fourth film's existence, so I just pretend they're dead. Okay? Let's leave them dead. Logan and Charles, no, MCU's bringing them back, but I'm not gonna watch Deadpool 3, so Logan is dead. Tony Stark, Yondu, Caesar, James Bond, even regardless, he's just gonna get a reboot with a new actor. And I'm talking about Daniel Craig's Bond and John Wick recently. But the ones I do agree suck are Han, Luke, and Leia in the sequel Trashology, Dewey in Scream 5, Dante in Clerks 3, Barbossa in Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man Tell Tales, Ellen Ripley, Newt, Bishop, and Hicks in Alien 3, and just about all of the OG characters in Independence Day Resurgence and John Connor in Dark Fate. Okay? Those kill-offs suck. Definitely. But yeah, despite some mixed opinions that I'm probably going to have with this, I had no problems with this movie, because John Wick 4 is one of the few rare fourth films where I cannot think of any bad qualities, because I honestly think I liked everything about this movie, and it was well worth the 4-year wait journey. In the end, John Wick Chapter 4 is a perfect send-off for John Wick, and I hate to say this, but I kind of don't want a fifth film to happen, because I feel like this was a perfect send-off to the character, and we didn't even need that revenge tease during the credits. So honestly, in the end, I definitely recommend seeing this movie in theaters for sure, and buying it to complete your John Wick collection for sure. Anyways, that's it for my review of John Wick Chapter 4. If you're wondering how I'm going to rank John Wick Chapter 4, here's how I'm going to rank this movie. So overall, if you are a John Wick fan and want to see another great entry in this franchise, then I highly recommend seeing this movie in theaters and then buying it for your collection for sure when it hits Blu-ray to complete the story of John Wick. And if you're wondering how I'm going to rate John Wick Chapter 4, I'm going to give John Wick Chapter 4 an obviously big fat fucking 10 out of 10. There we go. That wraps up my review for John Wick Chapter 4. And you're wondering, what's the next big movie you're going to be hyped for? Well, like crazy levels of hype for, I don't know. I mean, we'll just have to see, but so far, Evil Dead Rise, I'm hyped for. And, Quiet Place 3, which is in 2025, but we'll just have to see how the rest of the year goes. I don't think any other movie this year is going to top this movie in terms of best of 2023. But hopefully there's more other good films. Until then, guys, that will be it for this review. Thank y'all for watching. If you like this and want to see more, and don't forget to like, subscribe to Don G. Corleone.